Hello and welcome to a new episode of Between the Melodies. Today is a very special episode. It's the first time actually we've had a singer-songwriter join us on the podcast. All the way from Berlin, our guest today has worked with artists like Jonas Blue, Vice, and Bunt, and has accumulated over I think 60 million streams across different portals, as well as having a track played at festivals like Tomorrowland. And then I just found out, but you've also performed at The Voice Germany. So please welcome ARI.
Hi, nice to meet everyone. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Would you like to maybe just introduce yourself a little bit more to our listeners?
Yes, so I'm Hannes. I go by my artist name Ari. I'm a professional singer-songwriter. I have a project, this ARI project, which works a lot in the dance world and EDM world, but I also write for other artists and DJs, sort of as a ghost writer, ghost producer, and do that full time. So I'm super happy and lucky to do that. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast. So to start off, let's begin with like some quick fire questions just to get to know more about you.
Let's go.
So first, do you have a favorite track that you've ever written?
Oof. Favorite track? Probably not out yet. I've been writing a lot of music, which is slowly coming out at the moment. But if I had to pick one that's out, I worked with a friend of mine called Tandy, and we wrote a song called Chemicals, which came out on Selected. And I think that's a really nice one for sure. I like that one.
Amazing. Secondly, how would you describe like your vocal style, say in 3 words?
My vocal sound?
Yeah.
I think people tell me that my vocal sound is very soft, and I've heard it described as silky. I'm not a belting. I can belt as well, but usually when I can do my thing, I like to sit in that pocket of being very like close up to the listener and very like soft singing. Yeah.
Actually, I'll probably say as well. Like I would describe your sound as like warm. I think. I would
nice.
say.
Yeah, I think it works a lot in a lot of deep house productions where it's kind of like floating almost like a musical element, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, roughly.
Okay, and next is, do you have like a dream collaboration you would like to do?
Ooh, a dream collaboration. I think in the EDM world, I would probably say. I think like if I could do a song with this is a tough one. There's a bunch of artists that I like. Malif is someone who I've worked with, who also worked with Jonas Blue. I would love to release a song with him. Also a bit more like in the Afro housey world, maybe. Hugel would be insane. So yeah, these would be really cool.
Well, I mean, I look forward to maybe one day seeing that out.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and now moving a bit aside from music, do you have like a favorite hobby you would like to do?
Yeah, to be honest, I think music is a lot of my hobby, which I'm doing, but I am a big outdoor fan. I like to go hiking, kayaking and stuff like that. I'm a granola boy a little bit.
Awesome. And then lastly, is there a place or like an activity you would recommend if someone was to visit, say, Berlin for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're listening to this or watching this and you're into the clubbing scene, there's a lot of great clubs in Berlin, almost too many to mention now. Other than that, it's always worth a visit. Tiergarten, cool parks, nature.
So now let's dive into like more detail about your songwriting process. So how do you sort of typically come up with a song idea? Is it like a certain emotion, maybe like a memory, or is it sort of driven more by an instrumental idea that you have?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I think there's not really a right or wrong approach in songwriting. Like most art, I think it's learning to trust your taste and your gut feeling a little bit. But also it takes time to develop taste and to get closer to what you really want to say. So if you don't have the skills or tools to get close to the feeling that you're feeling when you're listening to an instrumental, then of course that's you still want to work on it more to get better and get eventually closer to it. But I think there's different ways of going about writing a song. Also, for me, it depends. I don't always approach it the same way. You can be very methodical and say, okay, I listen to the chords and I'll just hum a random melody that comes to my mind. And then I try to improvise some gibberish over it. And maybe there'll be one word that sticks out that's like, huh, and oh, that sounds like sunrise, maybe. Let's make a concept with sunrise. But you can also go into a session and say, hey, I really want to, I heard this cool word like, I don't know, smoke signals or some cool metaphor or something that I think we could make a killer song out of. And then you build it from the other end and kind of make it work that way. Always depends a little bit.
Yeah, because I think I find it quite interesting because obviously for me, I just sort of produce like say the instrumental, and then if there is a vocal, I usually based off any melody that I write off of that vocal to make sure that they sort of go together. But then like for you, it's a whole world sort of about songwriting and you know coming up with melodies and things like that. So it's interesting to see sort of from both sides.
Yeah, 100%. I think sometimes like if I get stuck, because melodies come to me also a bit easier. I think what took me the longest time to get good at was the skill of lyric writing, because I think that is more a skill than anything else. And sometimes I just like then close my eyes and think what the song like feels like, you know, where I would picture myself listening to it, for example, or, you know, this sounds like, I don't know, a summer evening, or this sounds like going down the highway, and like just trying to put myself into that world, and then I can see the different things that are around it, what I would see, and then maybe try to get that into the lyrics a little bit, you know. So there's different ways of going about it.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you've mentioned that you come from like indie pop sort of folk background before you pivot to electronic and dance music. So what triggered that shift, and how do you sort of navigate this change?
You know, I moved to Berlin, I think about 6 years ago, and I was not so close to the dance and electronic world. I was just playing with my guitar in bars most of the time. And I met a producer and we did a session together, and I really liked how we could, you know, get to a kind of a finished sounding song in a day. And it was a lot of fun, especially in the deep house and like melodic house genre. You can also put so much feeling into it, and the whole world of like the synthesizers and stuff. It was really cool to see. And then I started to do that more and more, and just kind of fell into it that way.
Yeah, because I think, I mean, people might not know, but I think a lot of artists, they come from different backgrounds, or maybe they start off making sort of this genre and then they shift to a totally different genre. So I think it's something quite interesting to look into about, you know, is it rather something strategic or more natural because of your experience during that period of your life? Yeah.
It's a good point. I think some people then, like, for example, if you used to sing in a choir, I know a lot of singers who used to sing in a choir, or maybe have like a soul background or something like that. And even if you do dance top lines, then you always have like that little bit of your identity going into that top line, you know, do little runs that other people might not use. And yeah, it's a bit of an ID, you know, like a sonic identity.
Yeah. Now, talking about experience, obviously you work with a lot of producers. So what was that like, working with so many people? And I think, you know, people with different approaches and different styles as well. What was that experience like for you?
I still do that today. I think like I first started to like work every day with other people, I think 1.5 years ago, where I really was in sessions every day. And in the beginning, it was a bit scary also, especially if you go into sessions with people who are, you know, have already accomplished some like bigger songs, or on the other hand, maybe people who are in a completely different genre that you wouldn't think yourself fitting in. You know, like I remember my first techno session, or I was invited to a techno camp, and I didn't listen to so much techno music, so I was a bit scared. How is this like an indie boy gonna, you know, work and sing for techno tracks? But honestly, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to just meet people and that you haven't met and try to connect on a musical level. It's the best thing in the world. And also there with like doing it a lot, it's like with everything in the world, I think you get used to it and you get more confident also again in your taste. so you can speak up. But I think we should do it that way because like my gut tells me that melody would be better that way, and otherwise you maybe wouldn't speak up in the beginning, but you get more confident, and then that way eventually, you get better at it.
Awesome. Was there like a moment that you remember that was like really memorable or like surprising?
In the sessions?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can maybe just tell the story with the techno camp, because that was also at the beginning of my kind of songwriting, ghostwriting career. I was very nervous about going into this camp because it wasn't just one room with 4 writers. It was like the whole, like 3 studios with a lot of techno producers, techno DJs, and I was very worried. But the people were very nice, and I ended up cutting, I think, 4 songs out of the 6 songs that were cut at the end of the camp, and I was more surprised than anyone else because I didn't think they would fit. But again, I think it was like people weren't used to the kind of indie top lines I was doing, and in that instance, it kind of fit well to the style. There's been a lot of cases where that wasn't the case, so some is a hit, some is a miss. Sometimes you miss, but in that case, it worked out well, and that was kind of a cool starting point to that scene.
Yeah, I mean, we will go into this a bit more later, but I think nowadays, like there's a lot of mixing between genres, and you see a lot of things that maybe are quite surprising in terms of like maybe 2 artists who come from totally different sounds, they sort of work together. And so I think like for you going into say techno, for example, at first maybe like you said, it didn't feel like it was going to work, but maybe sometime somewhere out of it you get something that's quite unique, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot about trying. You're right. And a lot of the times it doesn't work, and then you move on and do something else. But I think especially in a world of AI and Suno, where people can kind of just like type in, let's do a cool deep house song or a cool techno song, and it's just like you get it on an okay, quality level, both production and vocal, then it's even more cool if you can experiment and try to think outside of the box and combine things that haven't been combined before,
And now something that worth mentioning was you worked on your vocal store recently,
yes.
which for those of you who have not seen it, I can say that there's some really high quality stuff in there. I've also used some of them myself on my own tracks. So what made you decide to take this step and start this platform? And do you have like a vision behind it?
Well, first of all, thank you. I'm very happy that the vocals were used and that you liked them. So that's good feedback for me. It's been a lot of the time. It was 2 things, I think. Like one was I was doing a lot of sessions, and a lot of people still asked for my vocal, but I couldn't really do a new song every day for it. Yeah. And I had a few songs laying around that maybe I wasn't using. Then I was like, okay, it's kind of a shame to have them on the hard drive. Maybe I find a way to give it for cheap to people to use it in their music. So that was kind of the initial idea. And then also it was I kind of wanted to learn a new skill. If I'm being honest, I wanted to see like how can I present myself online, and how can I maybe build a store and do something other than write songs every day, because I just wanted to do something on the side also. that was my thing. Yeah.
Was there like a biggest challenge for you when you started to work on this?
It's constantly a challenge. I think there's like a million updates you can do. You can, for example, right now, I don't know, you've probably seen like I've done the non-exclusive licenses, so it's a bit cheaper. And then I also have exclusive ones, which you can only buy once. So it's only for one producer. And I also have a custom, so I can like work with you and like do a song with you. And I'm thinking now, somebody told me, why don't you do a limited vocal stash where it's only like 10, for example, then... Or I could include MIDI files. I could go into all different genres. I think it's exciting, but there's also, I could spend like a whole week or, like a 9 to 5 just doing this, but it's kind of a fun hobby, and I like doing it, and I like to put a bit of vision into the design and stuff. It's a hobby at the moment, and it's fun to see people liking it.
So you've mentioned about doing your sessions with other artists, and then obviously now with your vocal store as well. How do you balance all these things together? And because obviously you work full time in music, So how do you assign sort of different time for different tasks?
It's also a very good question, one that I'm asking myself also still on the daily, on how to balance it properly. And I can say that last year I've done a lot of sessions, and this year I've dialed it down a little bit. I think it's like with friends or dating or whatever, you have to like get to know a lot of people, and then when you've met a lot of people, you know which ones you click, which ones it didn't work so well, and then I kind of pick the people that I like to work with, and I do a little bit fewer sessions now, but I think the output is in general better, the quality is a bit better. So I have a bit more time to work on the vocal store, and ideally I want to release a bit more as my artist ARI as well. But yeah, you're right. There's not enough time in the day to do everything.
Yeah, for sure. And because I know a lot of people, they work a job, say full time, with music on the side as well. So it's really important to sort of say block out specific times so that you can actually make progress with your music career, basically.
100%, yeah. I mean, I was also working, like I said, I started a year and a half ago. Before that, I was working full time for 4 years, and just doing it on the weekends and after work, until it kind of finally I still had to jump. It wasn't like, oh, okay, finally it's working. It was getting better and better, but then eventually I was like, I'm just going to try it and try and do it. And yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great because, obviously you love doing the music. So to be able to do it, every day, say on your own terms, is really nice, I think.
Yeah, I'm super grateful.
Yeah, and now let's look a bit, say, to the past, but also ahead into the future. So, you've been working in music for quite a while now. So is there do you observe any changes in the way like the music industry has, say, shifted?
Yeah, a lot. I'm thinking about this a lot also recently, because of course, like AI, probably everyone of your people will bring that up, but for me, I think it's like music's kind of become like tap water. It's like a commodity that you turn on. It's kind of cheap to consume, and I'm thinking like as artists, it's important to find ways to make it special again, and like rather not focus on having a massive audience, but be special enough so people kind of like can really say, oh, this is his character, like this is the special synth that he uses, or like just that feeling, and if you get that, then you don't need 1 million monthly listeners. You can have a few less, but there's other ways you can maybe monetize it. I think it's actually kind of cool having all this AI slob just washing away over the music industry, because that pushes people, I think, or hopefully it pushes them to create something which is a bit more original again, be dare to do that,
Yeah, I think it's important. I think because I think, so like the human touch, the human element to music, I think is probably more important now than ever because of things like AI, and I think you can probably easily produce something in a much shorter length of time. So trying to really hone, say, a specific sound or like a specific, say, hook, for example, I think would be really important. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. And there's different ways of going about it, but I think it's exciting times. Who knows what comes next?
Yeah, I mean, things change really quickly nowadays, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so and now what advice would you say would you give to a vocalist or a songwriter who's just starting out, knowing what you know now?
That's also a very good question. I think it's like, again, I think what I said earlier is, again, important, learning to trust your instinct and your taste. And also getting out there and working with a lot of people rather than doing it. Because I worked a lot from home in the beginning as well. I was just, doing vocal jobs, but I think it's good to be out. And the more you're out working with people, then maybe also, labels and publishers see you in other Instagram stories and ask about who's this person. And I think it's good. You learn a lot from other people and you get better. So I would say work with a lot of other people. And trust your taste.
Yeah, because I think for you, sort of naturally, as a singer-songwriter, you work with a lot of artists, but also producers who say just starting out, I think it's also important for them to sort of reach out, maybe okay, collaborations or like asking or doing remixes for others, for example, just sort of to branch out that way.
Yeah, 100%. And if you don't live in a city where there's a lot of like vocalists or producers, like it always works to do either Zoom sessions or, shoot someone a message on Instagram. I talk to a lot of people like that. They just contact me via Instagram, and then we go from there. So
awesome.
Like with us, right? I think this is also how
sure.
it kind of happened.
Because I mean, I think because I saw you from some of the releases, and then I saw that you're doing this vocal store, and then so I used some of that, and now obviously we've having this discussion here, so yeah, it's really cool to see how that has progressed.
Yeah, that was really nice.
And I think that brings us nicely to the last section. So to close off, we're gonna do what we usually do. So like a shout out section that we have. So, well, sorry to put you on the spot, but first of all, is there like an artist right now that you think is like a one to watch or like a rising star in this scene?
Ooh, one to watch, rising star. That's a good one. So I'm probably going to plug a few of my friends because I really like their music, but I think Tandy is a great one, always great music. Then another friend of mine, Texture, really doing cool stuff. And Thunder. Thunder also is a friend of mine, amazing music. You should check it out for sure.
Yeah, so, okay. And then the next one, is there someone you'd love to see as a guest on this podcast to sort of share their story, their experiences?
Also a good question. I'm trying to think if it's like another singer, songwriter, or maybe someone. Maybe it could be interesting also to have someone from like the business side, like a publishing person, because I think for me it opened a lot of doors to also have a professional team kind of supporting, and maybe it's interesting for your viewers to kind of see how you could get there or what people are looking for, and you don't have to be signed to like a major one. There's a lot of smaller ones out there who sometimes even take better care of you, so maybe that's a cool thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the feedback on that. Because previously I've spoke to say artists, producers, but also those who run their own record labels as well. So that gives us a different sort of perspective as well.
Oh, there you go.
Music.
Yeah, really nice.
So before we wrap up, let's just look ahead into the rest of 2026 for you. So what's next for ARI? Like, what does the next 12 months for you look like?
It's quite exciting. So I think my vocal store is just like I've finished building it. Now I want to promote it a bit more. But what I'm most excited about is I have a lot of releases that I want to release, and I've been doing that a lot with labels. But I'm thinking about maybe just doing more, and some, if labels don't choose it, just doing it independently, because I have a lot of songs that I really think or I really want to see out in the world. So I'm trying to find ways to do that right now. So hopefully there's going to be a lot of new tracks this year.
Amazing. Sounds very exciting. Yeah, I look forward to hear more of your stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. And again, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And like I said, it's really awesome to have, say, a singer-songwriter join us to give us a bit of a different angle into what the music world looks like.
Legend. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And that's it for this episode. And I'll see you in the next one.